investors really just use the tough tariff situation as an excuse to dump. They were dumping last August large blocks of stock, laying off people, overvalued companies, ridiculously overvalued, like Palantir, like Nvidia, even like Apple. Just the pump and dump, the synthetic buying and pumping the valuations of these companies to the moon, as retail investors got stuck on almost every pullback. So they brought the juice and pushed the markets higher with their options trading and their buying, only to dump and leave the retailers holding the bag. And when the retail investors at every time saw the trade go down, they eventually would dump. You'd get a further pullback, and then investors would buy the dip. This has been going on for quite a while. Not to mention the shenanigans that's going on at the Treasury, the Fed, our overall economic policy, energy policy, imbalance in trade. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on, that the markets were in trouble, deep trouble. And as you saw, Trump talked about tariffs before he got elected. So how come when he got elected, the markets didn't crash? They knew this is what he was going to do. And where is all the tough talk about tariffs in other countries? That's something you may want to ask yourself if you're anti-tariff, or if you think tariffs are bad, or that tariffs crash an economy, or whatever it is. Or maybe you live in another country. If there are countries like India that are putting on 100%, 150%, 200% tariffs, okay, this is not us, another country like India, like Germany, has a heavy tariff on a lot of their stuff. The European Union. How about Canada? Why is it? All right, guys, just chill on the comments, okay? I know you want to comment, and I get it. Let's just chill out on the comments just for a little while. Let me just give my narrative real quick, and then I'll go right to the charts. Where is the tough talk from the other countries? Like, where are the citizens of Germany protesting tariffs, that Germany puts tariffs on other countries? You don't see it, is what my point is. In fact, you don't hear a word about tariffs or tariffs being a bad thing anywhere else in the world. Only until this president decided for the first time, really, I don't know when, I really don't know when, so I'm sure some of you may know, to put a reciprocal tariff that says, well, if you're going to tariff us, 25% on this, we're going to tariff you 25%. 10%, then we're going to. I think our average tariff is somewhere between 2 and 3.5% that we levy across the board, across the world. But the average tariffs that we get hit with are significantly higher. But you don't hear other countries screaming and protesting in their country that their president or their administrations are tariffing. Interesting how you're only getting that now and with this particular president. It's just kind of interesting. So the investors on this side, just kind of a very brief recap, that over the last few weeks, if you look back at, let's just say the month of March here, just look at my charts and you'll see March was quite the pullback, right? Starting in the end of February into March, you had this correction, fairly significant correction, as we got a market top here, almost a triple top, but not really. You're at the upper Bollinger Bands here. You started to get, a bit overbought on the weekly chart even. And so you knew something was up. I won't get into all the specifics, but you can see that we had a market correction in March, end of February into March. And then we were looking for some bounces, which we got. You saw that we got a bounce here. Let me do yellow. We got a bounce here. We got a bounce here, here, here. I mean, look at all the tops here from the bottoms. So these are like this going on, right? Until eventually we got down to this level here and found an oversold base. As soon as the daily chart on the RSI here got oversold, you saw price start to stabilize right at 550. And then you got another bounce. The question always is this bounce for real? Is this bounce going to be a rebound that turns into, a recovery of the correction? Or is it just, is it Rico? Or is it Rebo? Or is it just a bow? Bounce? Rebound? Or a recovery? We don't know that until we see it make higher highs and higher lows and kind of find some support and knock through this level. And this was the level, right? Remember 560, 565, we got above it. So that actually was quite a rebound. It was not a recovery. Why? Because you didn't even make the 50% retracement of this move and begin to make higher highs and higher lows this way. A shift in trend. So recovery, no. Rebound, yes. Once the rebound was over, you saw the resistance here at 575. And again, like you saw here, boom, 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 and then up, boom, 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 back down, and the resumption of this move, this trade, this trend. So pretty dangerous. But we took trades on the way up. We took trades once we hit a level. We took trades on the way down. And if you remember, on Friday, we got a signal that said, that's right here. Friday, we got a signal that said, you know what? This recovery is not a recovery, and this rebound is over. But then we wake up on Monday and you get, look at this, you get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever those days were, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Right before the tariffs hit. What's today again? Tuesday? Let me get over here. Yeah, so if that's Tuesday the 8th, that's Monday, and that's Friday, and that's Thursday, and that's Wednesday. Yeah. So here you get this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this pump, even though you have this, declining move. You still have all of the same economic metrics that are awful. You still have the over-bloated, overvaluated companies, problems with the dollar, fear of reinflation, fear of recession. You have overseas investors pulling out of a lot of our markets. But right here, you have this 1, 2, 3 day surge, this little bit of a bounce. But I didn't buy it. So we were short from the previous Friday. And I told you, hold the course here because we are going to reverse. And what I believe, and this is sort of the end of the narrative of what's happened, I believe that the investors and traders pumped the markets with not a lot of volume, but pumped the markets that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and got out of their trades on Wednesday, right before 4 p.m. when the tariff announcement was scheduled for. They pumped it Monday, they pumped it Tuesday, they continued that pump Wednesday, and then they started to sell it. And retailers got stuck because they thought this was investors signaling that everything was okay. It wasn't, which is why we shorted the prior Friday in the first place. And so what ended up happening? Announcement, spike up, and then crack. Thursday, Friday, and we had our shorts on here. Awesome, right? And so we did really well with that. And then obviously we're going to get oversold again, deeply oversold, and there'll be some kind of a rebound. So yesterday I put on some rebound trades in IWM to go up, and the VIX, which we'll show in a minute, to drop. Not permanently, not necessarily. Remember, bounce. So there's bow. Then there's the potential of a rebound, not just a little dead cat bounce, but you get bow, rebow, or is this a full-blown recovery and we're back to, the nonsense, the shenanigans of just pump and dump, Rico. So bow, rebow, Rico. Where are we? In these three? We don't know. So in any event, literally within, I think, a minute of me placing the trade on IWM, it skyrocketed. Like the reversal was a hairpin turn. Fantastic. I got them for like $2. Well, initially I got it at 185, and then I got some more at $2, and then it went pooch to 320. So I dumped most of them there. And the VIX, I didn't get a chance to unload any VIX, which we'll look at. So the question is now, what's going on? Well, what's going on is some countries, at least what you're hearing from the White House, there was a fake news story that came out. So that was kind of a mess. But there are actually some countries that reached out. Vietnam was first, Japan, and the EU said, okay, we'll go to zero tariffs. All that tough talk from the EU, and they finally said, oh, we'll go to zero tariffs if you will. And Japan, I'm sure India's kicking in. A lot of countries came back and just said, well, I guess he really meant it. And so this is a great thing that's going on. This is a realignment for the first time since, I don't know, when? The 40s? This is a realignment of trade where other countries around the world are actually coming to us and saying, we will lower our tariffs. We will go to zero tariffs, free trade. Now, that doesn't mean that we go to zero, because there are other things that perhaps we want to use tariffs for negotiating purposes, whether it be security and other things. But this is pretty big. Well, it's not that it's pretty big. It's probably the biggest economic shift for the United States of America in 50, 80 years, in my opinion. This is huge. To get, now whether you like Trump or don't like Trump is really immaterial, really. It's just, think about what's going on here. The overvalued, the theft from the American investor that the oligarchy has done, and I'm talking about the Zuckerbergs of the world, the oligarchy here, the theft from the retail investor here, the lying and the cheating that has taken place with this bubble that was created, and the retail investors that got hurt, the transference of even more wealth to the elite class, is terrible. And guess what this whole tariff situation did? It crushed it. It pierced the bubble. That's a good thing. That's number one. Number two, inflation is almost over. Prices are coming down all over the place. Food, eggs, fuel. So that's a good thing. And now there's a realignment of trade for the first time. And that's a good thing. So there's a lot of good things happening. And investors aren't stupid. Why do you think the markets are up screamingly high at the moment? Well, they're buying the dip, and obviously they see what's up. And we'll have to see if this narrative continues. Is this a false narrative where investors are initially screaming, "Oh no, tariffs"? Well, let me go back. Is this a scenario where investors go, "Oh, this is going to be bad," and they pump right before they scream, "Oh no, this is going to be bad"? Then they say, "Oh no, bad," and then it dumps, and then they go, "Oh no, no, everything is good," and they start to buy just to pump it up, drag the retail investors back in to only dump it again. So is that what's going on? It's very possible that it is. So don't look at today's green on the screen as we are in recovery. It very well could just be a rebound. And as traders, I want you to, this will be my final point here, and then we'll look at the VIX and such. As traders, you don't care. I don't want you to care about Biden or Trump. I don't want you to have emotions about Trump where you get just red in the face. Don't be an idiot. And also don't be a Trumper. "Oh, this is going to be great because Trump is great." Don't be an idiot. When I say that, I mean you're an idiot if you allow these emotions to affect you as a trader. Trader. It is a specific job. And as a trader, you cannot trade with emotion, which means you can't drag your ideology into it. Yes, Cheryl, 100% correct. The chart in front of you. I coined this a long time ago. Trade the chart, not your heart. I even have a t-shirt. I do. And a mug. Trade the chart, not your heart. And it may be true, Guitar Man. This may be the greatest gift our president could give to future generations from economic and national security standpoint. That was a post that I just read, okay? Very true. It could be. But it also could be a Herbert Hoover moment. This could be one of the worst moves in American history. Let's be clear, right? We don't know. As traders, we don't care. You can't. So I gave you a little bit of what I think's going on in terms of the narratives that are out there, what investors might have been thinking. Okay, this is narrative, right? It's not reality, fact. This is just a sort of a narrative that you build so that you have kind of a basis for what's happening. And so I've got a narrative here, which is a story. And guess what? It's my fucking story. It's not the truth. But I've got to have some story that I can at least say, well, if the story that I've just created is true, if ... then I want to look at setup A. But if the story is not true and it's this narrative, then ... I'm going to look at setup B. This is how you trade. You want to leave the narratives up to me? Fine. But I want you to absolutely understand the if then. And we've been doing it for 5 years. So if you've been around, you know what it is. And if you haven't been around for very long, stick around. Best advice I could give you, as a newbie to Trade With Me Now is to go back to March 1st, read every single alert on your desktop, and go to the charts. And when I wrote, the market is doing this, look at this chart, look at that chart, I would suggest you actually look at the charts that I indicate. And if I put an alert that has a trade in it, put that trade into the trade tracker and begin to understand why I took the trade. Entry, exit. So the alerts are either analysis, entries, or exits. Best way that you could do it.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video from Trade With Me Now. Make sure to go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel so you make sure that you catch our next video right when it's released. Also, if you have a question or comment, please leave that in the comments section below. And of course, if you want to learn more about Trade With Me Now or join our community of profitable traders, go to tradewithmenow.com. There's also a link in the description below.